Welcome back. My name is Mike Gardina with GardinaLifeCoaching.com, and today we're going to be talking about 3 ways to improve your relationship. Okay, let's start with what is a relationship. I know when I was younger, my father used to talk to me about how when you get married that you're going to have to do the hard work to make a marriage work, but didn't really tell me what the hard work was. But essentially, relationships are a partnership between two people being a two-way street. It has to be both sides working on that relationship in equal amounts. Now, there could be time periods when one person works a little harder than the other and vice versa, but generally, it has to be a two-way street. Some relationships do turn to be a one-way street, and they're very difficult relationships. They're I won't say doomed for failure, but they're going to struggle to make it. So we got to keep in mind that it is a two-way street, not a one-way street. Some people feel that because of all the hard work that you have to do with a relationship, well, why be in a relationship if there's so much effort that you have to put into it? Well, the real reality is it can be a very fulfilling relationship. It can be real. It gives you comfort to be in that relationship. It can be happy and enjoyable if it's done right. Okay, the first thing we want to talk about is kind of the differences between men and women. Um, we have to learn that we are different so that we can appreciate them and learn to tolerate them. Now, for instance, women on one side, they thrive on attention. You can't give a woman enough attention. She wants it as much as she can possibly get, where typically a male wants to be left alone. He likes to come home from work and decompress and not deal with kids and the wife so much so quickly. He wants to be able to have time to contemplate maybe his day. Where the woman on the other side, when she might come home from work, she might want to unload and explain how her day went. And so basically we have two polar opposites with each other. One doesn't want to talk so much, and one wants lots of attention. So we have to learn to understand and appreciate those differences. And I guess to say learn to tolerate them because that's just what it is. That we're different. We're different species. We have different energies. The masculine energy and the feminine energy are just different. And that's why we attract to each other. Unfortunately, that attraction can drive us crazy at the same time because it's difficult. So there's a piece of the hard work is learning to tolerate the other person because of who they are. They're not doing it on purpose. Okay, the second item to improve our relationships is communication. Again, we got a problem because there's some polar opposites here. Women tend to, and I'm generalizing here, I realize this, but we have to generalize because there are always specific cases. But generally speaking, most women don't tend to explain exactly how they feel, exactly what's going on. It becomes a little bit more of a game, a cat and mouse game. They want the man to kind of to listen and try to pry some things out of them potentially, or they may talk and say that they're just doing okay, but they're really not. They want to have that dialogue, that emotional attachment. Now men on the other side pretty much tell it like it is. When they say they're not doing well or they had a bad day at work or Bob did this, and it's pretty much plain simple. That's just the way it is. Now, there are going to be some men that don't divulge so much up front, but that's another story. But in general, most men, when they do talk and say, it is what it is, they're more black and white. So this is where the difference is, where a man has to understand that when the woman might be communicating is what she's saying explicitly may not be true. You have to it's a game, you got to dig and trying to really listen hard to figure out what she's truly saying. Because she's speaking from emotion, and emotion is not so analytical. It's going to be more haphazard. It's going to be a little bit more disarray. So you got to listen hard and try to feel the emotion that she's coming from to feel and understand what she's truly saying. Where on the flip side, on the man's side, where not so emotional. We're more analytical, more just, again, this is the way it is. And a man's going to tend to, most of the time, just explain to you what's going on. All right, the third item, love. We all want to receive love. It's one of our common 6 human needs that we need. Is we all need some form of love and connection with people. Otherwise, we really have a hard time. Now, one of the things that we're always looking for is unconditional love. We want the other person to love us unconditionally. Even though I'm not perfect, I don't do this, I want them to love me. But what happens a lot of times is a lot of people give love conditionally. They will give you love, but you must do this. Or I'm only going to give you love if you're doing that for me. Or you must meet these certain criteria for me to love you. Now, I'm not trying to say that there shouldn't be conditions on some things. I mean, you shouldn't fall in love with the person, I guess, or you shouldn't be in love with them in a relationship if they're not meeting certain conditions for you. But I'm talking about a relationship where you have a monogamous relationship where you're together and you want to be one. Is you have to give unconditionally. And the biggest issue is you have to give love first. And you have to give love to actually receive love. And if you don't do that, again, it's not going to work quite the way it's supposed to work. In order to have a fulfilling, loving relationship, both parties, both people have to be giving love first, which means then they're both getting it, right? If you're giving it first and they're giving it first, well, you're both receiving it. The trouble comes when one's giving love constantly, doing this, doing that, making them feel nurtured and loved, and the other is not. Their conditions are this, and this, and I'm not giving love. Well, again, going back to before, that's not a two-sided, two-way street. That's a one-sided relationship, and that's not going to work. Now, can it work to some extent? Yeah, it's not going to be a very fulfilling relationship. It's going to be more of a potentially just a friendship, but it's going to struggle long term. I mean, there are, marriages that have lasted for 40 some years where one party just learns to tolerate the other one not giving them love. I mean, that's a whole nother ball game, but we're not going to go down that road. But the idea to improve your relationship, you have to give love first, unconditionally. You got to jump in with both feet, both arms, everything. To summarize, essentially the 3 items are: we have to learn to understand that there are differences between us. Men and women, the masculine energy and female energy are just different, and that's why we get attracted to each other. If we weren't different, I mean, opposites attract and similars can repel. I mean, that's just the way energy works. It's a physical fact. So those differences are there. We have to learn to celebrate them and understand them, even though they drive us crazy. But at the end of the day, hopefully the craziness is worth it, that it's going to be a fulfilling relationship for you. And then the second item was learning and understanding communication differences and how you can learn to communicate differently with your spouse so that you're understanding where they're coming from. So that's a hard one to practice. It takes discipline and being self-aware of where you're at, but it's well worth it to understand that. And then the last one is basically love. Again, giving unconditionally and giving love first. Always giving love first with no conditions. Oh, I'm not giving it to you if you don't do this. It's not that way. You have to give love first. Thanks for listening. Again, I'm Mike Gardena with GardinaLifeCoaching.com, and you can reach me at mike@GardinaLifeCoaching.com. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got issues that you're working on in your relationship or just in life in general, I'm here to help, and let me know how I can help you. Please hit the subscribe button below, and if this episode touched you in any way, please hit the like button down below and add some comments for me so I can know what you're looking for on future episodes so that we make sure that we give you what you guys are needing out there. Thanks.